I would not pinpoint like a specific event. I think it's more or less a culmination of things and just my life in general. And I don't have that. I mean, I think the obstacles that I faced throughout my life, and for all of the things that happened in life, the obstacles that I faced and overcame.
Adriana Bayer is a small business owner in the United States. Adriana, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, because I know you're a mom and you've got a lot happening. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks.
Now, Adriana, to get started, I think the first question I would love to ask is, how was your day yesterday?
Yesterday was my Sunday, so it was just a family day. We're ending the holiday weekend, and we spent the day together, went to the bookstore, took our toddler to the bookstore so we could find some new bedtime storybooks. So.
Oh, that is lovely. Sometimes it's very good to have days where you get to choose what you want to do. And that's like the special thing about having a small business, isn't it?
Exactly.
All right. So I'd like to dive into this thing that I call a backstory snapshots. Okay. Now, a backstory snapshots, I like to think of it as moments or events that have sort of happened in your life growing up. And when you look back at those, you go, yep, those moments or events have shaped me to be who I am today. So what would your backstory snapshots look like?
I would not pinpoint like a specific event. I think it's more or less a culmination of things and just my life in general. I'm in my 40s at this point. I have a story to tell. I know a lot of people like to go back and say in my childhood, I had this glorious, these glorious memories of, you know, things that shaped who I am now. And I don't have that. I mean, I don't remember a lot from my childhood. And I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that feeling. And just, I think the obstacles that I faced throughout my life. And actually, if there was one thing, I think seeking therapy in my 30s. For all of the things that happened in life, the obstacles that I faced and overcame, therapy allowed me to really process those emotions and events throughout my life, and allowed me to take control of like mental health, anxiety, setting healthy boundaries in order for me to have a successful business.
I like how you're being very honest, because in a way, I sort of deliberately asked that question because I know everybody will either go this way or that way. And I really like that you were able to really tell me your specific, bit that makes your story special. So thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so with your small business, because I actually found you on Instagram, and the viral video that I saw from you was the hammered brass earring video.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me, because I was just so impressed, and I don't want to spoil it for people listening, but I was just very impressed with how you started it off. Can you tell me about that particular item that you sell, or even that video? What prompted you to create that specific reel video for your Instagram account?
Oh. Yeah, that's so funny you asked. These have been my best-selling earrings for probably at least 7 or 8 years now, and they're just really simple hammered brass earrings. And honestly, nothing specific prompted that. I was actually, yes, a business mentor said you need to start making more videos showing how you're making jewelry, and that's what I did. So.
Yeah, well, it really caught my attention, and I think a lot of, like, I was reading through the comments, and a lot of people also said, "Wow, very impressed! I can't believe you've done it." And the bit that really made me, like, not laugh like in a bad way, but laugh like, "Oh, I love your honesty." You said, "You're probably wondering if I've hammered my hand
Yeah.
once." The answer is yes, many times.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I think I had a little screenshot. Yeah, it was not fun going into urgent care for a finger injury during the height of the pandemic. So, but I mean, it was a quick in and out, but yeah, not a
Yeah.
to go.
Lovely. So I love the gold bit of the earring, and I love the detailing, and how specific you were with that. So with that particular item, was it something that what prompted you to create such a very unique earring? Design using brass.
I think I was just experimenting with different metals at the time.
Yeah.
I wanted to use something that was very lightweight, but that looked substantial. I think people of a certain age, we wore a lot of heavy earrings when we were younger that stretched out our ear holes or stretched our ears. And so it's hard to wear heavy pieces of jewelry now. And so I feel like I've created something that it looks heavy, but it has just beautiful texture, and but it's very lightweight. And that's a huge selling point for those earrings.
Yeah. So do you, because that earring that you're wearing, is it one that you made, or is it
That I'm wearing
the earring?
currently.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
it's just a simple gold hoop.
Okay. So do you showcase a lot of your jewelry earrings on yourself, or do you just like to, like, how do you like to showcase your jewelries? When you sell it online, or yeah?
Honestly, so I sell the majority of my pieces at markets, vendor markets, farmers markets. I do very little selling online. Well, I don't push a lot of selling online because the majority of the sales that I do make are at in-person events. And really, because I like that aspect of building relationships with people. And so that's a business model that works really well for me. I do enjoy selling online, but that just happens naturally from like word of mouth, things like that.
Yeah, well, the market aspect, I can definitely relate, because a few years ago, my family, husband, kids, we would, get up very early in the morning, sometimes at 5 in the morning, and would drive for like 3 hours and go to the market. And so I completely relate to that. Can you tell me what your, like, a day in a life going to the market would look like for you? Just take me through
let's back it up a few days, because
please
usually
do.
I'm like scrambling. I'm very good at procrastinating. And I feel like a lot of other people can relate to that. And so I'm usually last minute preparing for markets, just adding to my inventory. A lot of times I do, especially in the summer, I do a couple different farmers markets throughout the week. So I will take a day or two just to relax. But then, of course, I'm scrambling to get more product made. But the night before, I am just loading up my vehicle, getting things ready. And in the morning, it's usually put the location in GPS, go get a coffee, and I'm on my way. So,
yes.
But yeah, I love doing farmers markets. I get to the market. I get there extra early because I know my market vendor neighbors like to talk. And so I try to incorporate time for chit chat. But it's a lot of work, but I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, definitely, I can definitely, relate to that. But I like it how you're being very honest, because it's not something like, you sort of plan ahead all the time. It can be very spontaneous. So I love that aspect that you've spoken about. Do you find that when you go to the markets, you get people who would just basically come and talk to you for like a long time before they buy something. What is people's sort of, reaction and interaction with you?
I try to keep things very natural. So if someone comes into my space, I'm usually just, hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh, good morning. It's beautiful weather. Just keep it really casual and simple. More often than not, people want to talk. And I think I consider myself an extroverted introvert because when I'm out and about, like selling at markets, I love to talk and interact with people. Otherwise, I'm very much so just a very introverted person.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, people love to just share their life stories with me. I've created some really amazing friendships with like customers. People love asking questions about the product, like what inspired, me making a particular piece of jewelry. I get a lot of questions about the name of my business. And so it's just fun building those relationships with people in the community.
Yeah, lovely. I'm just going to go straight to that next part, the name of your business, which is Love Under the Pine Tree. What inspired you to name your business that?
So Under the Pine Tree Jewelry, I literally have a huge pine tree in my yard. And that was a big selling point for us when we purchased the home because it's beautiful. And it provides some protection and shade over the house, but at the same time, it sheds huge pine needles, huge pine cones. It's so much work to maintain, but it's so beautiful and we still love it. And that's kind of where that came from. And it just embodies like strength and resilience. And so that's kind of where the name came from.
Oh, well, it's a beautiful name. And I think I may have got a little glimpse of it on one of your Instagram reel. Now, this bit is the reel where you were showcasing, like showing us how you would use the curtains to drape your tent.
Yeah.
And I think you had a lot of people asking you, how do you do it? So I loved it that you were able to take us through the process. What inspired you to do your tent like that?
As far as like how I decorate?
Yeah, how you decorate it. Because like when I look at it, it looks very special. Like it just sort of draws your attention. Oh, what is this person selling? Like when I look at it on Instagram. So if I was like in the flesh, I would be like, whoa, what's going on there?
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do yours a little bit differently?
It just evolved over time.
Right, now quickly, if you are watching my channel, Small Business Owners Secrets to Success, and you have not subscribed yet, please, can I ask you to subscribe and share, like and comment if you can do that, because it really, really helps me a lot and it helps spread the word of how small business owners can be supported. So be sure to do that. And thank you once again. Back to the podcast.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do yours a little bit differently?
It just evolved over time. I slowly added the curtains to create a barrier, honestly, because people were taking shortcuts and walking through my tent space, and it just didn't make me feel safe because I keep a lot of personal belongings, money and things behind my table, and I didn't want people walking through. So I thought, hey, let me throw up some curtains, and it ended up just looking really beautiful. And I said, well, let me just do a little bit more. And that just kind of became my thing. So people know me, they know where to find me. So when I'm at markets, they see the curtains, they see all that, and they know that that's where I'm at. So it's become almost like an identifier for me. So
yes, I love that, because again, you could be like, somebody could be walking like a long distance away. All they have to do is look for the curtain. Yep, that's Adriana. I'm going straight there. So
and that's really what it is, honestly.
Very, very clever. Now, Adriana, I know in your Instagram reel, like you give out a lot of awesome tips and advice.
Mm.
What prompted you to do that? Because, you're selling beautiful, jewelry, and yet you have set aside special time and, special reels doing that. Why did you take on that idea?
So honestly, one of the things I'm very lucky to have a couple business mentors that I work with. And one of the goals that I had set for myself with them was that I would start utilizing social media more often. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to get my website going so I can start selling online, because I really just sell in person. And they really encouraged creating some videos of like my process, how I create jewelry and such. So I started doing that, but then I was like, well, let me just throw out a little video of some information, just share some knowledge. I had just taken a social media master class, and one of the things they talked about was looking at the social media content pillars, and one aspect of that was education. So I said, well, let me put that to use, because I took the class, might as well put what I learned to use, and let me throw some educational piece out there. And I did that. It gained traction. I said, well, okay, well, let me do a little more showing jewelry. And that was kind of like, and then I did a little more traction again. And I finally reached out to my mentor and I said, I think I'm going to kind of change up what I'm doing with my social media. I love sharing knowledge. I was in education for a number of years. Community is important to me. And so I said, I'm going to change it up. Let's see how that works. That was a Saturday night. A Monday morning, I created a video, posted it, and it went viral. And so that kind of changed the trajectory of what I decided to do with my business. And people ask, and I tell them, really, I'm just giving back to a community that's given me so much. Because if it wasn't for selling at vendor markets and someone giving me the opportunity to do that, I wouldn't have my business where it's at right now. So,
yeah, wow. Well, it's very interesting how you sort of spoke about it, and when you were talking about community, your face, you were just like glowing, and I could tell when I was looking through your Instagram, and I thought, wow, this lady, she really does have like a big heart. And through the way, I think one of your reels, you were talking about giving out 14 lessons learned from being a handmade vendor.
Oh yeah.
And I think one particular one was feeling discouraged, was a question mark. And here are some things to build you up. Can you tell me some of the things that you listed with that particular reel, if you're feeling discouraged? Because that was beautiful.
It's the one that I was feeling. Was that the one that I was actually speaking?
Yes, I think you were sitting down and you said, if you're feeling discouraged, let me just tell you, you have you have a beautiful personality, and you went on, and it was just really sweet.
I think for me in that moment, I was feeling some type of way about myself. And I said, gosh, if I'm feeling a certain way, other people feel this too. We're human. It's natural to have emotions of self-doubt. And like I spoke about, managing my feelings about imposter syndrome, because I deal with that all the time. But it was really just wanting to tell people that it's okay to feel these things, but don't let that keep you from, moving forward with something that you're really passionate about. It's definitely one thing, having done therapy, it's like, it's really easy to get caught up in that negative self-talk. And it's even more difficult to pull yourself out of that sometimes. And it sometimes just a little reminder of like, we can do this is what people need. It took a little bit of time for people to start viewing that and for it to gain a little bit of traction. And that's okay, because the people that saw it, that's who it was meant to be for. So.
Yeah, well, it was lovely. And that is just like one little tiny thing that I saw, and I went through and I saw so many different things, like I think one of the ones you gave was the 14 lessons learned from being a handmade vendor. Can you tell me some of the things that you have learned being a vendor?
Oh gosh, I'd have to look back at that one.
That's okay.
No, you're fine. I think it's really just like learning how to have building relationships with people, with customers, especially with those in the vendor community. I rely on other vendors so much for just the knowledge that I've gained. Learning how to properly vet vendor markets to make sure that it fits all of your business goals. It's really easy to lose money doing this, lose money and time. But for me, again, it goes back to like building community. And that's the one thing, if there's any takeaway from this is, when you have that community and you have community support, it's that much more easy to be successful with what you do.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I have seen, and I'm sure you have seen too, a lot of small businesses will come across like, oh, I've got it made and I am so doing well. And this is like a great time for me to actually go to the social media aspect of, sometimes it can be very daunting. Sometimes it can be very stressful. Have you found, because you have said a little bit about, the social media aspect, have you found that the social media aspect with your business, has it been a positive aspect or a negative aspect? That's what I'm trying to get. Hi there, just a quick little word from our sponsor. Now, as you know, I'm a small business owner and this is my small business, See My Curls. So basically, See My Curls, my small business, sponsors this channel. So if you have wavy hair, curly hair, coily hair, or locks, and you like to try some natural, handmade, and organic products, be sure to check out seemycurls.com.au. And I hope that will inspire you to continue your curly hair journey. And yeah, let me know how you go. You can either follow me on my See My Curls Instagram page, or you can follow me at my Instagram page as well for these channel. All right, back to the podcast. Has it been a positive aspect or a negative aspect? That's what I'm trying to get.
Definitely more positive than negative, because if it was something that was negative for me, it would be for myself and my own mental health, I would need to take a step back. But so far, it's been a great experience. I think, I didn't expect to join the realm and world of content creation. That just kind of happened naturally. And I don't like to put myself out there. I'm very private. So having video of myself and things like that, I'm very uncomfortable with that. But that's one thing I'm wanting to do more, because people want to see me. But I think overall, just more positive experience. But I also I want people to recognize that, like, what you see, that's not the full story. And I know I've created a couple posts, and I try to remind people to be very mindful of that. It's easy to get caught up with what you see in the present, but you don't really see a full story, that person's full story. Things may look great now, but that doesn't mean that they didn't face a lot of obstacles along the way to get to where they're at currently. So
yeah, definitely. And because I obviously, I have a small business as well, hair and skincare, and I found that the algorithm will sort of try and keep you to your niche, and I am like branching out, going left, right, and center, because I'm like, oh wow, this person is doing this person is doing this. And so I thought, you know what, I just get so inspired by seeing other people's journeys and things, and I thought, let me start a podcast. That should be fun. So here we are. And for me, it's like a build me up and a build them up, you up sort of thing. And I think it is just a great vibe of energy to do that. So when I reached out to you, I was like, oh my goodness, I'd love to interview Adriana, because I just love your vibe. I love what you're about. And the fact that, you're so seriously, you're so encouraging to other small businesses. I was like, yep, she's my girl. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
I
No,
really
I
appreciate
love that you shared that too. Well, because at the end of the day, I think it's
it.
important to uplift other small business owners, especially women. Um, and I know, like here in the States, and I don't know like what the statistics are for in Australia, but when you look at like the amount of women business owners, especially from the BIPOC community, so Black, Indigenous, people of color, business owners, there's like less than, I want to say it's about 20.3%. And so for me, being a woman of color, I want other people to see like, hey, I'm here too. And even as for Black business owners, they make up less than 3% of small businesses in the States.
Yep.
So I think it's really important to, for me, like sharing resources. I want small business owners to realize that there are resources out there for you, especially for minority-owned businesses. And again, I created a reel talking about some federally funded free resources for small businesses. Very small traction on that. But again, the people that wanted the information got the information. But I think when you have a platform like this, it's so important to, be that support system. And I think for you, it's great to be able to have, especially like female business owners and showcasing them. I love that that's what you're doing with your platform.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And so it is such a great journey, and it's just wonderful, definitely supporting one another. And I think once we sort of all do that together, we can all win, it's a win-win. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So, Adriana, I know you have been doing what you're doing, your jewelry business, for almost a decade, I think you said on your reel. What were you doing prior to that? Is it something that you're happy to share?
Yeah, absolutely. I worked in education from 2010 to 2021. So originally when I started selling my jewelry is farmers markets during the summer because I had the summers off and I wanted to make extra money. But yeah, I worked with middle school age children and I loved it. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was reading through your little intro, say, hi, this is, who I am. And I read your education. I was like, oh my goodness, we sort of went through a very similar path because I'm an early childhood educator and I was doing that for 15 years and actually resigned in 2020, just before COVID started. So to pursue this further. And I've been doing this for 10 years. So I was like, oh, that's why we vibe together so well.
Yes. Yeah, well, and like you, my daughter was born in over the summer of 2021. And the plan is okay, well, I have my business. I want to stay home with my daughter. And so it was a perfect time to make that transition. And of course, that's where I'm at now. And it allows me to be able to be home with her during the day too. But yeah.
Wow. So on that note, I think this is a great time to ask you, how have you been able to manage your work-life balance and, having a family? How do you juggle that? Have you nailed it or you're still working on it?
Honestly, it's very difficult. I want to be able to be focused on my little one when I'm with her. It's easy to get distracted and to want to check my social media because I can be off for a couple hours and have comments and dozens of DMs. And I have to stop myself and say, well, she needs my attention right now. Business shouldn't be my main focus. So I find myself like working late nights, doing things, and weekends, working and doing markets and things like that. It's not easy. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. And kudos to those who have it figured out because life is constantly changing. And yeah, especially with little ones, it's different every day. You don't know what tomorrow could bring. So
yeah. Yeah, so true. And I can put my hand up going, yep. I totally agree with you on that, because I guess that's probably why a lot of mums sort of look for something to do when they've got their little ones, because we sort of want a little bit of a mental break, don't like we want a place where we can just breathe, just think or just relax or do something different. So this is why I think a lot of mums sort of try and find something else to do other than looking after their little ones. But then also it's like, I really want to spend time with my kids as well. So I need that balance. And sometimes that balance cannot, it's not there. And sometimes it is. It's sort of blurred. Do you find that?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And I think that you make a really great point with a lot of moms want something for themselves because they want something other than other people wanting them because they're a mom or a significant other or whatever it happens to be. It's just finding that little piece of like self that maybe you had before you had a family. And sometimes that can come off as terrible to people, but I want a little bit of like normalcy, if that makes sense. Like I just want something that's just mine, and call it selfish, whatever, but something that nobody else. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And however that looks, it's different for everyone. But yeah.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely right there. So it is fantastic to be able to relate with other mums and go, yep, I get you. What did you do when you had that problem? How did you solve it? And maybe I should try that. Maybe I should try this. So yeah, it definitely is a topic that when I'm talking to a lot of small business owners who are mums, they all say very much the same thing. So yeah. So on that note, do you find that you get a lot of support from family members and friends with your business?
I definitely, yes, I do receive some support from friends. And as far as family, I think that's one thing that I don't have like a lot of family involvement just in life in general. That goes back to like your whole backstory, right? And so I've been lucky enough I have an amazing husband. He's extremely supportive. He's so encouraging, which is amazing. Not everyone has that, right? And I do have like a close knit group of friends that are also like entrepreneurs, things like that. So we totally we understand what's going on. But yeah, for the most part, maybe. That's such a tough question, because when you don't have that support, you don't know how to answer it, right?
Exactly. And the reason why I was asking that, because I've come across a lot of reels where people are sort of, I think there was a particular reel that like a voiceover one that you can use, right? And I think it says something like, if you find that, sorry, I think it's normal that friends might not support you because either they're jealous or they don't understand you. But then you've got strangers on the internet who support you, and all the comments were like the same. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, it's very unified, isn't it? So, so that's how I was just, you go.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, I agree. I think when it's something foreign to someone else, it's hard to understand, right? So unless you're like living it, and that goes with anything in life, it's hard to understand and to relate to it. So I don't think people necessarily know how to, I think maybe people don't necessarily support in the way we want them to support because they don't know how we need them to support, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think sometimes, and a lot of the times I should say, there are friends or people that we know who sort of watch from behind, from the backstage, or, from the curtain, sort of looking through and not sure whether they should comment or like or whatever, and they'll rather just watch from the distance.
Mhm.
So anyway, but it's good that like I have come to terms, sometimes I have like friends who are like, yeah, and sometimes who are like, oh, really? Okay. So, and then I've also heard other small business owners saying, yeah, they get 50%, and it's all in, different ways of support. So it's good to know. Yeah. So Adriana, what I was going to ask you, the other thing was, so you give out like a checklist, right? I'm just going to go back to this other thing we were talking about before. So you give out like a checklist, and I think your comment was type checklist, and then you were going to send it to them. Do you find that a lot of people get, they want that checklist?
Yes, people want that checklist. And even if it doesn't matter, even if you've been doing the vendor market thing for a while, it's also just nice to get that bit of reassurance, like, okay, I have been doing what other people are doing. But for the most part, I get a lot of people that message me after, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I needed this, or I've got my first market coming up, or I've been doing this for a while. I just want to compare notes, essentially. And it's just something really simple, but it's just things that I picked up and learned along the way, and why not share it? Why not share it with others, right?
Yeah, very good. So I'm going to move on to the next question, which might be, I think a lot of business owners have this, okay, so we all have our ups and downs. Have you, because you have sort of covered a little bit of that, but I'm just wondering, have you had like very, very tough moments in your business where you've thought to yourself, you know what, I'm just not going to do this anymore? Like, have you had your moment?
Gosh, that's a great question.
It's okay if you haven't.
But it's not really that I haven't. I think it was more or less when I took a little bit of a break because I had my daughter, and I was kind of thinking to myself, should I continue to do this? I can't imagine leaving her to go, work. And I slowly got over that. I passed up a couple of opportunities shortly thereafter having her that made me realize, this is something that I need to do. Like, this is for me and it's for my family, but also I want her to see that I have something for myself. I want her to see me be successful. I want her to see me experience failures, but also overcome those failures. So I decided that it was something that this is what I need to do for myself. And it's really easy to get hung up on the idea of, well, maybe I shouldn't do this because I need to care for someone else, but I also need to care for myself too. Yeah,
beautiful. So are you able to tell me some of the failures that you've had that you've learned from? Because I'm asking that question because I think having a small business for me, and I think like a lot of people too can relate, like you learn so much about yourself. You learn that, wow, you're very, very, resilient, you're very persistent, you just don't give up. You learn that, wow, you're very patient. Have you, can you tell me some of the things that you've learned about yourself running your business?
That's a great question. I think I've realized that I'm definitely stronger than I am. I need to give myself more credit for being able to step outside of my comfort zone, trying out new things, especially when it comes to applying for and doing new vendor markets. For me, when something is new, I get terrible anxiety, and I know a lot of people resonate with that. And so really being able to work through my anxiety of, I guess, just trying new things and stepping outside of my comfort zone. I learned also very on that it's important to make wise business decisions. I wish I could go back and take some business classes, access free resources that are out there, get a business mentor. That is a game changer for any small business. But yeah, I wish I would have done that earlier. It would have been so helpful. And again, that's stepping outside of my comfort zone, trying something new. But I've learned to change that.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, because one of my other questions was, what would you do differently if you started your business today? And you've covered that. So would you add anything extra to that? Say if you were starting your business today, fresh, and social media and all these things available to you, would you do it any differently?
Gosh. I think that's a tough question, because originally when I started my business, it was just more or less of, let me make a little extra money, and this is just kind of a fun hobby. I enjoy making jewelry. I wouldn't have known at that time. I would have created like a true business. And so in hindsight, maybe I would have asked myself, okay, what are some of my long-term goals with that? Is this going to continue to be a hobby? Because I would have then maybe sought out like an accountant and someone to really help me write a business plan and to set some of those long-term business goals, because I'm just along for the ride. That's kind of what it was. And so it wasn't until this last year that I really started taking things serious. Not that I didn't before, but I'm looking at things from more of a lens of like being more business minded. And I think that's how I'm now seeing like the growth in my business, even with like stepping outside of my comfort zone, doing social media, things like that. But that's all part of growing that business.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely makes sense. And I can just sort of go back and forth here, because I also started my business just as a hobby, basically just to help my daughters, because I'm from Ghana in West Africa, and my husband is English, Welsh, and Ghanaian. So our kids are very, well mixed. So like our three kids that have different type of hair, all three of them, they had hair, on their head before when they came out. It was like full. So, and their hair sort of changed, and I just sort of wanted to just take care of their hair. And then all of a sudden I had people asking, can they buy? So I can definitely relate, where you sort of go with the flow and you're like, okay, well, I see what I can do here and there. So yeah, definitely. And we do, as small business owners, we wear a lot of different hats. So what are some of the hats that you have found that you had to wear in your business? And I'm sure there's a lot, but yeah, feel free to share with me.
And this, you mentioning this, it's funny, because the other day I was having like this internal conversation. Like, I think I'm at the point where I need to hire someone part-time just to help with some of those things. But I mean, I do it all. I wish I could spend the majority of my time like creating product, but the reality is that's like 20% of what I do. And the rest is just managing a business. I manage the inventory. I do the marketing. I do the accounting. And it's a lot of work. So, if I always encourage people, if you're in a place where you can source out some help, even if it's just the smallest bit of it, do it. That's where I'm at. I'm at the point where, please help me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I was talking to another small business owner, and I was saying, the different hats that we all wear is just like so it can just expand and just keeps going, because you're thinking, I'm a small business owner, and sometimes it's finance, or sometimes it's like, no, I can do this, and
well, and I think there's some tradition to think that as a small business you should be able to wear all the hats, but just because you can doesn't mean that you need to. Right.
Exactly. I've sort of learned the hard way, being a teacher, you sort of go, I can teach myself. I can just go on YouTube and I can learn a few things, which I have. And I'm sure, like we all have. And sometimes you're like, no, I'm going to spend 2 days or 3 days and I'm going to do this, or should I let someone spend 2 hours? All right.
Exactly. That's exactly. Yeah. You said it perfectly.
Yeah. Oh, good. So the other thing I was going to ask you was, so we've talked about, the hard times and everything. What are some of the successes that you've had that you've like, man, I'm so proud of myself? Can you tell me?
Oh, there's been a lot. I think I'll say this year was very like transformative for me and my business. I applied, well, let me step back. I decided to create a vision board this year. And a lot of the things that I put on there were things that I was like wanting to accomplish, or I've been wanting to accomplish. And I was actually looking at it the other day. And that gave me the opportunity to actually visually see, gosh, I accomplished almost all of the things that I wanted to do this year. And I'm feeling really proud of myself. And I don't take the time to acknowledge that often enough. I don't think any of us really do. But simple things like I wanted to buy a new piece of equipment for jewelry making. That felt good to see that I was able to do that. It was quite the investment, but I did it. And wanted to apply to do a new farmer's market this year. Again, stepping outside of my comfort zone. I did that. I feel like, gosh, that was huge for me. I applied for a grant-funded business program. And again, like that changed like the whole direction of my business and the growth and success I'm seeing now from that. So just something as simple as mapping out what I wanted to do and seeing the things that I accomplished, I feel like that's probably, it seems so silly when I say it out loud, but that's probably one of the most successful things I've like experienced thus far, because I don't think we ever really like look and see really what we've done, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And definitely sometimes it's good to pause and look back and go, yes, I've done a lot. And yeah, I love your vision board idea. So is it something that you're going to keep doing, or was it just like a one-off thing? You thought, oh, let me just do that.
Gosh, honestly, my best friend was visiting from out of town, visiting family. And it was a weekday night. Her sister said, I'm going to do a girls' night to do vision boards. So it's just a bunch of like 40-year-old women, way past her bedtime, with our charcuterie board and scissors and glue and magazines, and just cutting away, creating these vision boards. And it was so much fun. And so, yeah, we will continue to do that. And it was just fun being able to sit down with other women, especially women like your age,
yes.
And like talk about the things that we want to accomplish. A lot of friends and people I know, we have adult children also. So it's like, what are we doing for ourselves? And I want other people to, I don't know, do the same thing. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad that you went on to that, because I was going to ask you, with your work, do you find time to have a little leisure? Do you find time to just hang out and hang out with friends? And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's something that it's needed and it's special. And I was the beginning of this year, I started playing OzTag, and in Australia, the game is actually, so you got touch football, tackle football, where you sort of have to tackle the person and knock them down and then get the ball off them. Well, this one is a very gentle, so you don't have to knock anyone down. Each team member will have like a Velcroed short, and there's like 2 tags Velcroed to their side. And what you have to do, the person with that ball, you have to try and get the tag off them. And then once you do, if they still have that ball, then they have to try and either pass it or whatever. And if after 5 contact or something, that the next team will have that ball. So I started playing that, and it was yeah, lots of fun, because I've been all those years just serious working. And this year I thought, nope, that's enough. So,
oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. Oh, I want friends to do that with.
Thank you. And then next year, I'm wanting to go back to hockey, and because I used to do that in high school, and now I'm feeling like I'm 25 again, which I'm not. Not in my 20s or 30s, but I'm just not going to say what I am. But anyway, I'm feeling very young, so I'm like, go for it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that you shared that. I want to do that.
Well, you might have to. You might have to find some sport, something that you can just like netball or something, or basketball. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that would be fun.
Cool. Now, Adriana, because I know you have your little one, and I'm checking the time because I want to keep you for too long. So what I want to share with you is something that I call SBO's Inspo, which is Small Business Owners Inspiration. So you are my 4th guest, and so the guest that I had prior to you, she left a beautiful word of encouragement, because each guest that I have leaves something for the next person. So I'm going to play yours. So this one is from Shiloh. Now, Shiloh is an audiobook narrator, and she also lives in the United States, and she left you this beautiful word of inspiration. Here we go.
I would say that there are going to be days where you think you've done everything absolutely wrong, and the business is going to fall apart, and you're going to fall apart, and everything you've worked and built is just going to go to ruins tomorrow. And I would encourage you in those moments and in those days to take a deep breath, put everything down, take a quick little walk, get a drink of tea, take that breath, take that moment, and remember that that is how an empire is built. As you are building those bricks to build this business, you are going to have days where you're going to need to take off the layer you just built. And it's just going to be stronger as a result in the next day. Take a deep breath, be bummed, feel all the emotions, then get back at it tomorrow. You got this.
So, Adriana, that was for you. Now, Shiloh had no idea who she was leaving that message for, so she just had to just come up with something, and that was what was on her heart. So that's for you. I'm not sure whether that rings true for you or it doesn't, but is that helpful?
Thank you. Gosh, thank you for sharing that. I love that I love that you shared that with me. Thank you.
My pleasure. So now it is your turn to leave a word of inspiration for my next guest, which I'm actually waiting for them to get back to me. I have no idea. I've got all these emails and people saying yes, yes, yes. So I'm trying to schedule a time. So you have no idea. I have no idea. But what would you like to leave for my next guest?
I might have to come back to you with this one because I want to share something that feels meaningful. I might have to get back to you with that. Is that okay?
That's fine. But do you know what? But yeah, it's fine, because what you think may not be helpful, the next person will find it helpful. So seriously, I'll keep that in there because I think that's beautiful.
Okay.
And but my other guests, they just left random stuff, and you can imagine I'm like getting all these different replies from people, and I'm just saying, yeah, okay, I'll do you on Monday. We talk on Wednesday. Yeah. And the most amazing thing is each person's thing tied into the conversation that we had, and I have not orchestrated. I'm serious. So you'll be surprised. Okay. Yeah. So I will leave that, and I think that is beautiful. Okay. And I'm just going to say my next guest is going to love it, and I can't wait to see how that relates to them. So thank you so much. Now, before I let you go, where can people find you on social media? feel free to share the names of those places, and I will also include in the descriptions below for people who are watching on YouTube, and because this is also a podcast. So if you say it, then people can also write it down.
You can find me on Instagram at Under the Pine Tree Jewelry. I really just utilize Instagram for everything. You can DM me on there. You can find my other socials on there, website, everything like that.
All right. Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate you taking time, because I know you have your little one. And so I'm like, Bruce, let's be quick. I don't want to keep you, but I really, really appreciate you. So thank you so much. And I'll definitely be seeing you on social media. Okay. You keep up the good work, Adriana.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for having me.
All right. You take care. Bye for now.